a circle full of dogs. We put in this squad here was a bunch of crazy dogs.
Hey everybody, welcome everybody to Rush Hour. Yeah, we are. This is the Rush Hour preview show. Got to get the name right. The Rush Hour preview show, not the review show. Craig put review. I had to tell him it's the preview show. The game hasn't happened yet, Craig. It's the Rush Hour preview show. I'm your host, Chris Rosa, along with Michael the Truth Stewart. Michael, what's happening? What's happening with you after a great Sunday?
Yeah.
How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good, and thank God that you and I are always wrong when we give our predictions.
Right? Really? Yeah.
They played phenomenal football.
Oh man!
Right? Especially that last play when they blocked the field goal attempt and ran in for a touchdown. The Giants just don't do those kind of things.
Listen, it was great to be wrong for this week, and nobody saw that coming. I know the guys had a great time on Monday, and so did all the other podcast shows we've been watching. Everybody's elated that we got a season right now. Everybody's happy. We're all in the same. We're all thrilled that this season moves on in a positive way. Hey, Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights. Thanks for checking in with us tonight. We always appreciate you stopping by. So, Mike, Giants 2-3. The 1-4 Vikings come in. Did you happen to see some of the? I don't know about the game, but the highlights or anything from the Bengals Ravens last week?
The Bengals. Yeah.
What did I say?
You said Vikings.
Oh, Vikings. I can't get that first game out of my head. It was such a monkey wrench.
Over 50, things like that happen, Chris.
Yeah, the Bengals. Thanks for correcting me. The Bengals-Ravens game. Did you happen to catch that?
Yeah, I did. And it's there's a lot there that I saw that the Giants, we'll talk about it, Giants can expose, and they can definitely take advantage of based on what I saw. But it was a fun game to watch.
Sure was. With no rooting interest, with no rooting interest on either team, that was very fun to watch.
Right.
Especially at the end when Tucker, it felt like a Giant fan when you see Tucker nail the 56-yarder to send it to overtime.
Yeah, that's something, man. He's some kicker, that guy.
He's unbelievable.
Probably the best kicker in the league, right?
He really is. And Bill Hartnett, thanks for jumping in. Quick story on Tucker. My good friend, his name is Rob Roche from RSR Sports. He represents Justin Tucker as his agent. He has a bunch of kickers, and he tells a great story about visiting Justin Tucker back in college. He wasn't I think he went to Texas. He didn't really want to go see him, but his son kept saying, "Dad, you got to see this kicker. You got to see. He's unbelievable." And he didn't know much about him. And then next thing you know, they were on a flight together, and then he signed him coming out of college. But if it wasn't for his son, I don't know if my friend Rob would have really been would have even known about him. So it was Rob's son that really got him on board with Justin Tucker. And it turns out to be his best client. So cool.
That's that's what happened with the Giants when they drafted Dave Meggett. One of the Mirror kids went to the college, and I think it was Townsend.
Yeah, right.
Townsend
State. Yeah,
Townsend State, and he said, "You got to see this guy, Dave Meggett," and that's how the Giants found Dave Meggett on that recommendation. So
yeah, we always see stories that even with Cruz, right? Cruz is another one. Even Chapman this year, who went undrafted. A lot of guys, had him on the Giant scouting department had him on their radar. But
wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
He went to SMU, right?
SMU, yeah. Hey, Bill, we're going to get into that, man. I know the news came down today with Thibs. We're going to go over the injury report actually right now. So good segue, Bill, getting us right to the nuts and bolts. So that came out of nowhere, right? If you remember the game last week, we saw Thibs take off the elbow brace at some point. He had the long elbow brace. So maybe that had am I boring you already, Mike? You all right over there?
Long day.
You were just getting those carts in. I remember.
That's right.
Yeah. So he took off the arm brace, and I guess he had injured the wrist. We didn't hear much about it, and then it comes out today that he had surgery this morning So I guess maybe they clean something out. We don't know the details, but it's week to week. So it doesn't sound too bad. Keep in mind, if it's a week to week injury, but they put him on the short term IR, he has to miss 4 games. So we'll see in the next few days what the prognosis is if he's going to go on IR, which he'll have to miss 4 games if it's short term. If it's week to week, maybe we're only talking a couple weeks, but bears watching. See what and obviously we're going to see more Z's, right? We're going to see more Aguilera on Sunday.
That's right.
If Thibs isn't, well, obviously he's not going to be able to go. But real quick, before we get rolling with the nuts and bolts, we'll go into some injuries. Wednesday practice. Neighbors still in concussion protocol. However, he was working on the side, did not practice in the team portion. Thibodeau, we said wrist injury, not practice, obviously. Van Roten had a rest day, not practice. Burns, groin limited. Adoree Jackson, calf still limited. Drew Phillips, shoulder and calf limited. And Singletary was back on the field with the groin, but limited. So, we'll see tomorrow, once again, with the designations, or on Friday, the probable and questionable and doubtful. We'll see that, and we'll get more of a feel. But I'm happy that at least Drew Phillips was out there again. Yeah, because you made a goal last week. He didn't re-injure anything, because you always see when they come back out, they tweak stuff. So
especially the calf muscle.
Yeah. Good. So Bill says here, and this is the Thibs injury. All right, Bill, thanks, man. A scaphoid injury. So I guess that is the wrist.
So where is that on the hand? Do you know?
I would think it's the wrist area. I'm not. Google
here?
that, Bill.
Top part.
Don't know. We'll have to. Bill's going to fill us in. And hey, Bill, let us know. What type of. Well, he had surgery. We really don't know the details, but they're saying week to week. So maybe that's something that just it won't take too long. Obviously, he'll probably come back with some sort of a brace on, I'm sure. Okay. Oh, you got it right. There he goes. Bill just confirmed. All right. Thanks, Bill. Awesome. Always great having you stop in. The Bengals have a bunch of injuries on their list too. However, guys were mostly practice, just in limited fashion. But the one note is just keep an eye on cornerback Dax Hill, the starting corner. He's on IR, so he's going to be out for Sunday. And already the Bengals defense has not played very well, and we'll get into.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I was shocked that they were that bad.
Yeah, boy, I mean, they gave up over 500 yards of offense to the Ravens, and until that big run by Henry, because I think Henry had about 92 yards. He didn't rush overly, too much in the beginning of the game. 15 carries for 92, but it was that long 70-yard or so scamper there at the end, which kind of, I think that put them within 3 points of tying the game.
Yeah.
But anyhow, Mike, let's get to some of your stuff. You want to get to the offensive stats with Giants Bengals and bring everybody up to speed with some of the individual stats?
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the Giants all offense, defense, and the Bengals offense, defense. A couple of bullets on each side of the ball.
Okay.
Again, we'll always start with the Giants. Right now, they're ranked offense is ranked 20th in the league, which is pretty cool. They are, let's see, Daniel Jones picked it up since the first game. He's gotten a little bit better each time, and he is on it. If you want to get technical, he's on a pace of almost 3,800 yards for the season. So 227 yards per game he's throwing the ball. He's a 6'3" with tons of interceptions, 86.3 passing rating, which is you want to see a little higher than that, but he did have a horrible first game, so that he's battling uphill in that one.
He's had a number of drops. Let's each game seems like we're getting 5 drops.
True.
I mean, drops are adding up here.
Did I read that right? Giants first or second their receivers in drop balls. Is that right? I heard that.
I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know officially, but yeah, that would.
Somebody knows. Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
I heard first top 2 team in drop balls. That's right. That's what I thought I heard somewhere. And we know the status of Singletary. I'm assuming if he does play, I think you're going to see more of a role in Tracy based on his excellent performance on Sunday. He looked really good. It was nice.
And the good thing is, Mike, you can ease Singletary into it. Like he might start, but you know what? You don't need to give him the bulk of the carries or the both of the touches. You'll get some extra work in with Tracy, which will be great.
Yep, and I think that's what we're going to see. I think we're going to see the snaps be divided out there evenly to give Singletary less wear and tear on him because he is coming off what do you have, a groin, right? A groin
He has a groin. Yep.
injury? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. And so those guys combined have almost 400 yards rushing, 4.6 yards per carry, which is not bad. If you think of it as a duo right there.
Right.
Neighbors, of course, you mentioned he's still in the concussion protocol. We don't know. I guess we'll find out tomorrow, right? I think that's when the final injury reports have to come out. And again, if there's any doubt, hopefully they won't play him. If there's any doubt with him, if they're not comfortable, I'd rather be safe than sorry. Robinson,
And he was, and Darius, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it, man. And you know, Mike, he was limited today, like I mentioned earlier. So let's see tomorrow if he's in the team portions, because I think that will go a long way if he's actually in team drills. Maybe not,
okay.
the actual 11
And where
11.
did you see that from, Chris? How do you get that information when you get through that?
That came out on the Giant website on the
Okay.
under limited. He was
Okay.
he was noted as doing individual drills on the side. So they said did not practice because he wasn't with the team practicing, but he was off to the side. So at least he was
I
doing
got
something. Yeah. So maybe it's trending in the right way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you got, Robinson had a steady game, and Blade had a phenomenal game, and you could tell who Daniel Jones kind of trusts when he plays, because you can see him looking in that directions when you watch the replays.
Right.
He looked at Slayton his first look.
And
he
ironically,
responded.
and just Mike, ironically, off of that, he had such a great relationship with Hodgins a couple years ago, and last year
Yeah.
kind of phased out with Hodgins, right? Everybody, but Hodgins had, he was activated, he was in the game, and I was surprised Hodgins didn't get many looks either, many targets at all. I don't think any.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe that connection could get reestablished. And then there's Hyatt, right? Hyatt had a ton of snaps, and he didn't get anything. So it makes you
Yeah.
really question what's going on with Hyatt here with route running,
But
getting off the
it's funny.
line.
Did you see that Twitter report on the guy who gave the assessment on his performance on Sunday? Did you see that on Twitter? He mentioned that even though he didn't have the numbers, he had 2 penalties called on him, and he did well on 1 blocking, and that's
Oh
something
no, I
that
didn't see that.
you do. Yeah,
And they gave him a good grade on that.
yeah, they said that
Huh.
overall that he
Huh.
played well. He may not have gotten the numbers, but they feel that he's treading in the right direction.
But God,
I can't remember who that was. If somebody remembers on
Yeah.
Twitter,
Really.
yeah, I don't know who it was. It wasn't like a regular guy like us on Twitter. It was somebody who's in the football
Yeah,
world.
a couple schmoes like us just throwing numbers around.
Yeah,
right?
no snows like us, right?
What
They think you know everything, right?
bucks. I mean, you. But yeah, man, it's just you wish you had some answers, and they'll never give you clarification. Now they'll never tell you, but it is really strange, man. It's a head scratcher why you're not seeing much from him.
Yeah, I just hope that they don't give up on that kid. He goes somewhere else, and he has phenomenal seasons. And everybody on Twitter, all the Giant fans, going to be crying. We should have kept them. Look how bad they do all the time. So the Giants' defense is actually treading up a bit, and they're ranked.
And Mike, just to go over I know you moved with the receivers, and Mike Groh comes with a lot of credibility as a wide receiver coach. I mean, he's done a pretty darn good job with that group. So you would think if anybody, you trust coming from the lineage like Mike Groh with his dad Al and being involved, in the receivers coach, you think at this point, he'd help them out and be able to turn things around, but you're not seeing it translate. In practice, there's an issue maybe, but you're just not seeing anything on the field with Hyatt. It's really, once again, it's a head scratcher.
It is a head scratcher, and I mean, one day we'll find out what happens. Whether he succeeds with the Giants or not, we'll find out. On defense, the Giants ranked 12th in the league, which is pretty darn good. And as they was reported, they lead the league in sacks. Is that correct? 22? Or the second?
Lead the league
in sacks, right?
Lead the season in sacks, and they also lead the league in sacks per game. They are at 4.4. which
Okay.
ranks them number 1 per game. So
Right.
pretty damn good. And the Bengals, I don't want to jinx anything. They're
We're
ranked
going to get
30th.
to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. But one thing about the Giants that I did notice is that in their 5 games, they've had 2 games where they had 8 sacks and a 6-sack game. Is that correct? That's 14. And there's 2 games. I'd like to see them be more consistent in games, not be totally cold like it did against Dallas or against the Vikings. They only had 1, and in Dallas they had 0. So I like to see them get more consistent and try to be like 3 to 4 sacks per game would be really nice. Their red zone actually, and this is a trademark for Bowen. They're actually 10th right now in that department. They're doing very well with that, and they're also doing well with third down efficiency against opposing teams. And this is a cool stat I know it's on Dexter Lawrence. I mean, he's a nose tackle. Okay, so he has 6 sacks already. So in 5 games, so obviously he's on pace. And that, if he does this, it'll be phenomenal. They'll have 17 sacks, and he also has 4 tackles for losses.
Amazing.
So it's almost 1 tackle per game. He's making behind the line of scrimmage, and that's when you realize he's probably being double teamed the most than any Giant on that team.
Yeah.
So that says a lot about.
And if you remember, before Andre Patterson came, there was a question: do you put him at the you put him over the guard or the center? Now he's over the center most of the time at the nose. And man, that's where his strength is, because he's bullying everybody.
So.
It's gotten to the point now they're putting, they need help, these centers, and he's still
need help. Yeah.
He frees up the other guys, but he's just at that Aaron Donald. He's getting there, man. He's getting to that Aaron Donald. He's not already level.
Yeah. I actually look at him more like a Chris Jones. Because he's not little, he's not undersized like Donald was technically,
right.
But
True.
I mean, he's our version of Chris Jones, the East Coast version of Chris Jones,
right?
Just a massive man who has a high motor. I mean, that's what Chris Jones has, along with the talent behind it. He's on his way to obviously another Pro Bowl, and hopefully no injuries.
Yeah,
he'll be. I think the first time a Giants, and you get. Anybody know out there, has any giant interior lineman, defensive lineman, has gotten double-digit sacks? I guess the last one might have been Tuck, right? We got to count Tuck, right? Tuck was an interior, but he moved around.
Oh, interior, you're saying? Oh, interior. Yeah. It's been a while.
I know Tuck played inside, and he.
Yep.
It might be Tuck, right? But he wasn't
probably. They moved them.
They moved
them around, right? They moved them around.
But that's what makes Lawrence phenomenal.
But a true interior lineman, it's Dexter. And the funny part is, going back even 3 years ago when Andre Patterson came, or 4 years ago, and this all changed for Dexter with being a pass rush, threat. It really played to his strength over the center. Is that here in New York we see him all the time. We're screaming for the recognition, and it was like you had that shadow of Aaron Donald, and he was playing great, but it was like Dexter was so ignored, and then you had the guy Justin Simmons with the Titans. But it seems like over the past 2 years, finally Dexter has been recognized throughout the league and throughout fans that he's the best. And him and Jones, you got to put Jones up there, Chris Jones. But finally, there's no question about it. Dexter has the recognition now throughout the league that he's one of the best, or if not the best, defensive tackle, nose tackle in the game.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as Dexter goes, my next PowerPoint is that the Giants defensive front seven's playing better too, collectively. I think you get Dexter being occupied by two linemen, and they look at him, and you got guys who can like Okara K and like McFadden. They can free wheel it. They usually have nobody on them. So they can shoot the gaps and make plays. So that's right what the Giants need. That's what makes their defense really more effective. When you go and look at the Bengals, everything positive for them is on the offensive side of the ball. You got Burrows, who's on pace to have a high yardage. He's over at 1,300 plus. He's having 274 yards a So you figure it out. That's pretty high. He's going to end up with like 4,500 plus yards. He's got a high quarterback passing rating, 113.6. If he goes and plays well, he's gonna he can make a difference in that for the Bengals. You got a running back in Chase Brown, isn't a household name, but he's a tough runner. 5.6 yards a carry. He doesn't turn the ball over, so they're gonna. I'm thinking they're gonna stretch the field. To be honest with you, and they're gonna explode.
Yeah, and overall, the running game for the Bengals isn't the strongest. They're ranked 28th in the league at 96.
No,
I was surprised too.
Right, right, and I think with the Bengals, they just want to show you a little bit just to keep it honest, and then they want to just gun it. Shock me if Burrows throws for 50 times in this game, and he's got weapons, right? Jamar Chase, Higgins. He even has a pretty decent tight end, and a tight end who the Giants used to have a history of not doing well covering tight ends.
Right,
so,
and you saw the Ravens game last week. They abused the Bengals at the tight end position on the flip side.
Right.
So that's another thing to keep an eye on.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the defense, like we said, they're ranked
Mike,
20.
before you get to the defense, just want to bring up one stat. Third down conversions. The Bengals are 48%, ranked 4 in the league. So obviously we know the Giants have gotten a little better on third down. That's concerning because there was in the beginning of the season. They could not get off the field on third down. So Bengals, man, they're good on third down. They come in with that trips to the left, or they bring the 4 receivers in. So look for that on Sunday with loaded receivers with the trips on 3 on one side or the the 2 and 2. You're going to see quite a bit of that. I think trying to get as many DBs on the field. Yeah.
The Bengals, like I said, they're ranked 26th in the league on defense, give up 365 yards per game. And here's a key stat that I think is going to play a big part in the Giants if they're going to win. They only got 6 sacks. At first, I thought I read that wrong.
Right.
So they're only average about almost a sack a game.
You got it. Right.
Yeah. Right. And they're giving up 31 points per game. Now, the Giants are not a juggernaut offensive team, but they did well last week. They look like they're treading well. So this could be another game that could help the Giants, like a good matchup, I should say.
Yeah, this is a game where I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants score close to 30.
Yeah, this it's a possibility. Yeah, you just don't want to see, and I'll talk about that later. But I'll say this: you don't want to see this to be a shootout, because if it's a shootout, the Giants will lose. I don't want to see a shootout.
Yeah, and think about this, Mike. We talked. Yep, and we talked about this earlier. The time of possession has been key for the Giants. 15 more minutes than the Seahawks last week. So these long drives that take a little time off the clock, man. This is what you got to do against the Bengals. You got to get 10 minutes over, 15 minutes over time of possession, and I think that plays in the Giants' favor. Keep that offense off the field.
Absolutely,
it worked for Seattle. I think very similar. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The Bengals, defensively, even against the run, they're ranked 30th. They're giving up 151 yards per game.
Yeah.
Now I know when the Giants played Dallas, that was a big one. Dallas gave 186 yards a game, and then the Giants only got 26 yards. So obviously, this is big. The Giants really need to capitalize on this. They gotta play. Go ahead, Chris.
No, and Mike, to your point, with the 150 yards they're giving up on average to the game, and considering what Tracy did last week, what's going to be interesting is, do they sell out a little bit more for the run, load that box up because now Tracy made a name for himself for the week, or do they still sit back and play that high 2, cover 2, and then they don't really, don't really concern themselves with the extra guy in the box for Tracy? So the Giants' offensive line, I think, is going to dictate where they want to play this defense, since they really are vulnerable both in the passing game and in the running game.
And I think that also depends on how much they take Daniel Jones seriously. If they really don't think he's, as good as his numbers were last week, they may load the box, like you just said.
Are they a believer after 1 week? Now they're missing the cornerback, which makes you think maybe they walk that safety up in the box a little bit more and pay a little bit more attention to the running game.
Right. So that's a great thing to look for early in the game, see what they do. I think it's going to be another, I think, Dable and if Kafka is part of the planning of the offensive scheme, I think they're going to put together a pretty good game plan like they did last week, and it's going to be interesting to see, you know, if they're going to use the run to set up the pass or vice versa. Because
Right.
I think Cincinnati will definitely use the pass to set up the run if they do anything like that. You know, what happened? You fall in the park there?
Mike, going off your point too with the third down conversions, what we just mentioned. Interesting stat. Giants over, in the first game or so against the Vikings weren't very good, but they've improved. They're up to
Yeah.
number 11 in the league on defense with third down conversions allowed. Giants are at 34%. They're at 11. The flip side, although the Bengals are good on offense on the converting third down, not good on defense. 31st, giving up 48%. So just about half
Right.
the time they can't get off the field on third down, which goes to one of our keys to the game is time of possession. The Giants will utilize that and just hopefully run that clock and just gas out that Bengals defense, and then come third, fourth quarter, I think the Giants score some points.
You want to see the Giants have at least 35 minutes or more time of possession. Is that fair enough to say?
I think that would be fantastic. Yep, more than half.
Yeah. Keep the ball out of Burrow's hands in the offense because they are explosive. They could score quickly. That team, they got talent.
They did. We saw it last week with the Jamar Chase screen pass where he took it like whatever it was, 60, 70 yards. I mean, that was terrible. I mean, you don't expect that from a Ravens defense, but man, those good blocks by those Bengals receivers. When they got on their blocks, and boy, Jamar Chase just split the both defenders, and we saw he took it to the house. So.
Yeah, and let's be honest, folks. I think we all can agree the Bengals are not a 1-4 team. They're not like if you think of 1-4, you think of a team that's not good. The Bengals are a good football team. They just right now they're not clicking on defense for some reason. I don't know the whole personnel. I don't follow the Giants, but for some reason the defense is not contributing like the offense is right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, you would think with the defensive coordinator Amaruno, what's his name? He's been can't say his name.
I don't know.
He's from Staten Island, matter of fact, or Brooklyn, and
hey.
he's a New York guy, and he's been there since the Bengals were in the Super Bowl, even before that. So his system's been there. It's nothing new. It really comes down to personnel. They're just having a tough time.
And you didn't mention any key players on defense other than that cornerback that may be out, right? That's all you mentioned.
That's right. Yeah, right now that's who is on IR. I could bring up some of the injuries. Let's see, Bengals injuries. I did have a couple names here. Everybody pretty much practiced, but guys that did not practice today for the Bengals would Zach Moss. We were just talking about him, or no? We were talking about the other. Who's the other? We talking about Chase. Who was the running back? Chase Brown. He practiced. Zach Moss. He has a foot. He gets some action in there as well. Who else didn't? Mike Gesicki, tight end. He's like the third tight end for the Bengals. He was banged up. Interesting story about Mike Gesicki, everybody. My brother used to live down in LBI. Mike Gesicki's from that area and did a couple football camps because he's a Jersey kid. And he got, he's talking to my brother, and he wished so bad to play with the Giants. It was a time when the Giants needed that receiving tight end before Bellinger got drafted, right around there. And, we were going through tight ends, and he was a free agent. I guess he was with Miami. Oh, Amaruno. Right. Good job, Darius. Lou, thank you, guys. You guys are more with it. Yep. The defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo. Right. So Mike Gesicki grew up as a Giant fan, wanted to play with the Giants. I was hoping the deal would get him. So he's like their third tight end. But Jersey kid, grew up rooting for the Giants, went to Giant games. So that's kind of cool. I just hope he doesn't beat us.
Yeah, for a third tight end, he's already got 3 touchdowns, which is not bad.
Right. Yeah.
That's pretty good. So they look for him in the red zone then. That tells me.
Oh, yeah. In fact, he did he score? I think he scored one last week in the red zone for Cincinnati. Yeah. He scored one last week. Jamar Chase's numbers were crazy, right? He had 10 receptions for 193 yards. T. Higgins last week, 9 for 83. Rushing, Bengals rushing, that's not their thing. They're not a big rushing team, although they will run the ball. Only rushed for like 71 yards last week. So I think it's really comes down to the passing game with them. Maybe Shane Bowen deploys more DBs this week, less blitzing, and just fills the zones, fills the open space. But it's gonna be fun to watch to see what Bowen does against the offense.
It is, and I think for the Giants, they got to get the Bengals to be in predictable downs. What I mean by that is like they gotta. It's obvious it's a passing down, even though it's second down.
Third and long, right?
Right, thirds and longs. They got to. So to me, the Giants stuffing the run. Don't give the Bengals any kind of running game. If they're going to beat you, let them throw the ball, and if they do it, then you tip your hat to them.
That's right.
That's why I really think that's what's going to happen. That's why I think you're going to see Joe Burrow throw for at least 50 times, at least.
Right. And the offensive line for the Bengals, very similar to the Giants, they've improved over the past couple years. They're at 11 for the season. The Giants are at 12. So very, very close in comparison. Giants ranked 17th with sacks allowed. Bengals ranked 22nd, sacks allowed. Turnovers, Giants have 7. Bengals, what's up?
Yes, you're right. It's pretty close.
Yeah. Bengals have 5. So not a lot of turnovers, a decent amount, but nothing too crazy. And the time of possession, like we mentioned, Giants are 3rd now in the NFL with time of possession, which has been key, especially in that Seattle game. I think that made them jump quite a bit in the stats with that Seahawk game.
Hey, Chris, scroll up a bit. Darius, he had a pretty good question here. I can't 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 7, 8 up. He's asking, is this a trap game for the Bengals, you think?
And you're right, Darius. He's been a Bengals coordinator since 2019. Yeah, you're right. Is this a trap game for the Bengals? I don't think it's a trap game, Darius. Oh, and what do you think, Mike? Only because they're 1-4. I think at 1-4, you can't be a trap game. They're on the road. I don't know. Now the Giants. There's no way the Giants at 2-3 should call this a trap game. I just hope they're not reading the clippings this week at the Seahawks and how awesome they did, and they think a 1-4 team comes in here because they'll get smoked on defense if that's how the defense is thinking. Because they're gonna hopefully, well, not hopefully, but they may put up points. The Bengals. That's time of possession's big.
I think they will put up points. I think they will. And again, it all depends how much time possession they get. That's why you mentioned it 3 times now about time of possession.
Yeah, I'm really big on it. Mm-hmm. Mike, let me ask you. Let's flip that around, Darius. Do you think this is a trap game for the Giants? At 1-4 with a team 1-4, and they're really not a 1-4 team. I know you are what your record is.
I'll answer that, and then Darius can answer it as well in his comment.
Let us know what you guys think.
I don't think the Giants are in position to think that they're so good at the trap game for them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Right.
I think they need to be humble, the Giants, but still have the confidence to go out there and they know good football. Giants can't just walk out there and beat anybody.
Mm-hmm.
They can't.
So Darius says it's not a trap game for the Giants, and you're right. At 2-3, you agree with us. It shouldn't be. They're not worthy of a trap game at 2-3. This is we don't like to look ahead too much, but if they lose to the Bengals, you got the Eagles next week, and we know that the Eagles have come down to earth a little bit, and they're beatable. But once again, it's that Eagles kryptonite, man. They still have it on us. We don't want to. The Giants, you cannot get to 2-5. You need this game to stay within striking distance because you need that flexibility if you lose one of these games. You got to get to 3-3 to get out of October somewhere around 500.
That's right. And keep in mind, the Giants have not won a game yet at home this year.
It's kind of sucks, right? I mean, come on. This is the games we're supposed to win, and it's a night game, which doesn't make you feel too confident either. The Vikings game, right, Mike? You could throw that out. Listen, they got to play. The Vikings are a good team. They're not probably as great as their record is, but they're a good team. Solid.
Yeah,
coach.
they were more ready to play opening day than the Giants were. By far.
They were. You know what? It was the extension of the preseason, but the Washington game hurts. But now I look at it this way: I didn't ever expect, and a lot of us didn't expect Seattle. So now you do a switch, right? I mean, You basically traded the Washington game for the Seattle game, and you're kind of right where maybe we thought we might be at 2-3, but
They gave the Dallas game away. They gave that game
gave
away.
the Dallas game away. Opportunities, yeah.
That's the only game you can question, really. They could have, should have won that game. Yeah.
Hey, Chris D, thanks for jumping in. Here's a good one. Is our season over if we lose to Cincy? I don't think so. He says Chris thinks it is. Do you think so, Mike? If they lose to Cincy, is it over?
Well, it puts them at 2-4. You got to figure that they're going to be battling probably like 6 other teams for a wild card, especially a couple of them guys in their own division, right? Two of those teams. I think they're all going to be battling for a while.
Yeah, you nailed it, Mike. And you know what, Chris? If they lose this game, it's not over, but it makes it imperative. You got to beat the Eagles because it's a division game. You already lost 2 with Washington and Dallas. So, Chris, to your point, you lose. You got to beat the Eagles, or it may be over 2-5.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, right now they're 0-2 in their division, right?
Yep.
Right, 0-2, right? They only played 2 times.
They're 0-2 right now. If you lose to the Eagles,
they
you're
got
0-3.
win 3. So they got to win 3 out of the next 4 games. 3 of the next 4 games they have to win.
And now to get back into now to get that win against one of your division opponents, that means now you got to beat Philly on the road. Now you got to beat Dallas on the road, and obviously you get Washington.
Dallas on the road, definitely.
Yeah,
Dallas on the road.
Thanksgiving. So I think you got to look at it this, folks. You got to have a split these next 2 weeks. I feel like you got to beat Cincinnati. It's there. You got to beat them. But if it doesn't happen, it's another situation where it was Dallas and Seattle, where it's a must-win against Seattle. Well, now it turns into a must-win against the Eagles. If you beat Cincy and lose to the Eagles, it's not great, but you're still 3-4. It's a division game, but yet you're still in the mix because there's so much parity in the league. But at 2-5, going to Pittsburgh, now you're not looking at it so optimistic, you know?
No, you're coming off a win like the Giants had on the road in Seattle, and then you're coming home, a primetime game. You have to be motivated to win that game. It would be to me, it would be a letdown if they lose this game, even though Cincinnati is better than their record indicates.
Yeah, you know what, Chris? I get it, man. It's not. It's over. You aren't coming back from 4 losses this early. Yeah, I get it, man. It's tough. But once again, teams get on winning streaks. I would say this: if they lost and then you lose to the Eagles, it's probably over. At 2-5, this is a game you got to win to give yourself a little room for error against the Eagles. You don't want to go into that Eagle game as a must-win. And guess what? We're right around Halloween. That's usually when that's usually when the wheels fall off the wagon, right? Is right around Halloween. Yeah. So, Giants, can we at least get to the first week of November with the season?
That's true.
Real Cold says it here. Giants need to string some wins together. You know it, Cold. I mean, that's let's the 1 win, the 1 loss. So let's get a couple under the belt. And wouldn't that be nice to get these 2 home games and go to Pittsburgh with a 4-3 record? That would be fantastic. But 1 game at a time, right? Let's see what happens on Sunday night. Wow, we got a lot of questions, so that's good.
I like it. Yeah, I like when we have feedback, interact here with the guys.
Yep, and we'll throw some more stuff.
Great, Mike knows what you're talking about.
So, Mike, when you're looking at the game as well on Sunday with Aguilar, big opportunity for Aguilar playing opposite with Burns. He's been healthy. We've seen some good bend from him. He's turning the edge. We've been surprised. He's actually moving really well, and knock on wood, he's been healthy. But I would expect some good things from Aguilar against the Bengals, since they drop back almost 40 times a game to put some pressure on Burrow.
Absolutely. That's one play I'm going to be keeping an eye on when I get a chance to watch the game, because he had a lot of promise coming out. Great rookie year, right? He had 8 sacks, something like that, 8.5 sacks.
I think he set the rookie record. Didn't he have?
Okay, all right. So then he had 8.5 sacks. So I'm looking forward to see how he takes advantage of this opportunity.
Right.
Because a lot of people are down on him, and there's been always rumblings on Twitter. I don't know how the Giants management feels, but about he's a trade candidate. So let's see how he responds. And this is what you want to see, just like Slayton. Slayton responded, did a good job. And I'm one of the guys that that has not been a big fan of his. So I'll be honest and say he played really well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. Darius says in order for the Giants to get the playoff spot, they need to win at least 4 of their 6 divisional games to have a chance. They already lost 2. Yeah, I would say they definitely could only.
I don't see them sweeping Philly.
Yeah, they got to go. They got to go 3-3. I mean, really, they got to
realistically
have at this point, realistically, and that means
You're not
that
sweeping the Eagles,
and that's why Philly at home is a big deal. And the way Philly's playing, they're going to need that game at the end of the season. Yeah. Philly's not running away with anything. The way Washington's playing, Dallas and Philly are kind of on the same level right now. So there's a lot of parity in the NFC. Philly's going to need that game at the end of the season.
Yep, absolutely.
But I hear you, Darius. Yeah, man. They need to get a couple games under their belt in the NFC East. Giants pass rush. Yeah. Here we go. Giants pass rush isn't good enough to be trading pieces.
I was just going to comment on that. He's right. That was just, I don't know how, that was probably just rumors about that with Ojolari.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, yeah. A couple weeks ago I was hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think they have enough pass rushers. I think another one would be really nice to throw into that rotation, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Interesting, Cole. You know, the Giants are 2-3. They're in the mix of things. They're playing well. Now, if the Giants, by the end of October, or excuse me, with I think the trading deadline's actually the first week of November now. So if they were like 2-5, then maybe they entertain. They kind of think they're out of it. If they're going to get something for them, decent. Maybe then at that point. But at 2-3, I can't see him trading trading Ojolari now when they're playing well and the pass rush is clicking.
Yeah, I think it's important to have depth in that.
Yeah. Doesn't Philly usually end our season? Yeah, usually they do. Except last year, we did beat them, but our season was over at that point anyway. So I guess you're kind of right. Yeah. Jay, another one. Yeah. What about the people want to trade Azir? I guess Ojolari, right? Is he talking about? Yeah, he's talking about Ojolari, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think when he was hurt, we wanted to get rid of him, right? Because we never could finish the season, but not now. He's playing well.
Jay probably knows this. You see a lot of crazy suggestions on Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, you're getting everybody. You're getting the casual fan that just knows a couple, of the names and really doesn't dive in deep on the situation and salary cap and when a guy's up on his contract. A lot of these people don't look at that kind of stuff. Not like all of us, right? We're in deep.
We got no life, right? That's why we're so good at it.
It's a sickness. It's a sickness. A couple more stats, Mike. Just points allowed. I don't know if you mentioned this. Giants are giving up 20 a game. That's 11th. Bengals are 29th.
Yep.
I think you mentioned that one. What else do we have here?
Did you look up, because I know you mentioned it 3 times. I didn't look it up. Where the Giants rank in the time of possession in the league? Where do the Bengals rank?
Time of possession, the Giants were at the top. They are ranked, I don't know what the minutes are, but they're ranked 3rd. And I think a big chunk of
that's encouraging.
Yeah. A big chunk of that came last week. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So, yeah. Interesting. What do you think? And another update. Gunnar Ojolski was practicing today on the side catching punts. He may come off of IR this week, possibly by Friday. Not sure he'll play, but he'll be coming off IR possibly. And then the kicker, Gano should be coming off IR soon as well and get ready to go. Greg Joseph, interesting. He's played really well.
Yeah.
And there's teams around the league.
You said Cano, that means 4 games, right? When you're on the IR, you got to sit for 4 games.
Yep.
So Washington, he said, that was game what? 2?
Washington was game no, that was game
3?
That was game 3.
All right, so that means he went on the IR the following game. So that's 2. So he's got 2 more weeks.
Washington was the second game. So he gets Browns 1, 2, 3. Okay, so after the Bengal game, will be his 4th game.
Okay.
Browns, Cowboy, and then he'll be eligible. I'll tell you what, Greg Joseph will probably get picked up because he's putting a lot of good stuff on tape right now. But I wouldn't mind considering what Gano, injuries the past couple of years, clearing waivers at some point and getting him back on the practice squad. But you know what? These kickers
If
get
you get
picked
him
up.
back.
There's been a couple injuries, so I don't know if he'll clear, but I wouldn't.
Look
I
what
wouldn't,
Cole wrote down the last comment.
Yeah, I know I'm butchering. I know. I know, man.
The classic
butcher?
one is Van
It's been a
Rotten.
long day, man. It's been a long day, Cole. You know how it is. I mean, I'm better than Craig. I can butcher him really bad, but you know what? It's still better than Craig. Let's just call him Gunner.
Why he butchers names a lot?
Sometimes, but probably not that bad.
I haven't noticed, but okay. You want to jump on? We'll do a little bit of the keys, truths, and then go back to more interaction with the guys. I like this.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go to truth. 3 keys to the game, and take it away.
And as always, guys, when I do this, if you have another one, I only did 3 for each team. There's probably more, obviously. I mean, Chris made a great one with time of possession. I think that's a big one. I didn't put that in mind, but I think that's a big one. I'll go with let me go with the Bengals first this time. I think for the Bengals, I think Joe Burrow has to be the best player on the field for them. I think he has to have a phenomenal game. Like I said, 50 pass attempts at least. I think where he throws maybe 40 completions, around 40 completions, throws for in the high 4s. I haven't checked to see what weather's going to be out in New York or Jersey.
It's going to be nice.
Next week.
It's going to be
nice. So there you go.
60s at kickoff and clear. And no.
All right, so there you go. Everything a quarterback loves to see. So I think that's the key for the Bengals offensively, and along that offensively, with Burrows having big games, guys like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they need to stretch the field in a vertical game, and of course, make big plays.
Hey, Truth, look what Jay said real quick. Maybe Truth could giving a speech is key to good luck, like it was last week. Give a speech at the end, Truth. We're going to keep on that. Nice call there, Jay.
Yeah, but he's being a wise guy. I think he's doing that.
There's a little bit of truth to that. Truth with truth.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So those are 2 sides I see on offensive, I think, for them. On defense, because of the Bengals really have struggled. They're not at all keeping pace with the offensive side of the ball. They need to find a way to pressure Jones. Only 6 sacks this year, so that's going to be a tough task. And while minimizing the running game, so that's a lot to ask for them to try to put pressure on the quarterback, but still stay committed to the lanes where they don't allow a big run. That's important. You can't let the Giants, like I mentioned earlier, the Giants got to put the Bengals in predictable downs, like 3rd and long, things like that. The Bengals cannot let the Giants be 3rd and short a lot. That's a recipe for disaster for them. If the Giants do that, they'll have a very good chance of keeping the ball, like you mentioned, time of possession. And for the Giants, I just think Jones needs to continue the game plan. What we've been seeing with him, he's making quick reads, quick decisions, getting rid of the ball, and letting the playmakers, get more yardage after the catch. That's what I'm seeing. But I do want to see a little bit more, vertical, like he tried to do. I think he made a couple of good passes, one to Slayton, right, for a touchdown.
Yeah, you saw the backside to Slayton, which was awesome design.
That was a heck of a throw.
Yeah.
When you're from across the field at the NFL level like that, how fast these guys can play and run.
And then the crosser to Wandell, which took time to develop. But I like the creativity with Dable, letting these. I think what's happening too, Truth, is that Dable is having more confidence with the offensive line, so he's able to install some of these plays that are allowing the offensive line to hold up and to let these things develop. Because I think the last couple of years, because the offensive line was so bad, you couldn't let these plays develop with these crossers, these backside flags. They just took too long. But now the confidence is building that, hey, the offensive line could hold this and let this play out and let these guys run these routes.
Who said that? Who said it? I don't know who said this, but when you notice the offensive line, they're doing a great job. When you don't see Jones getting the snap and then panic, getting slaughtered or has no time to get rid of the ball, then you notice how bad the offense. But these guys do such a great job.
I mean,
You don't
Illuminor,
even notice
what a
that.
find by Illuminor. 0 pressures last week. And think about
I
this, Mike. In
know.
the season, they've given
Yeah.
up 11 sacks, and we're at the 6th game. I think there were games last year where the Giants would get up 6 and 7 at a clip each week.
They gave
we
up
know it
11
happened.
in one game last year,
Yeah.
didn't they? Did
So
they not?
yeah, definitely double digits. So
Yeah.
it's just come. Let's keep it on. Let's not jinx anything, but full circle, man. This offensive line is the best
Yeah.
it's been in 12 years, at least.
It has. And with that, I think the Giants' offense, they cannot be predictable in their game plan. And they need to have a little bit of a balanced attack. They got to get they do have to get the ball out and pass the ball, but they do have to get some yardage. They got to run the ball against a team that's allowing 151 yards a game. They got
That's right.
They really
And
do.
I like the fact that they put these screens on tape. It's just one more thing for the Bengals to worry about, because Giants weren't a big screen team for the last few years because they never ran them right. There was always a legal man downfield. There was a hold. There was always some BS flag. But you saw last week in 2 consecutive plays, Tracy or was it Gray? I think it was Gray.
And Gray did one. I know Gray had one.
Yeah, but there was 2 successful ones in a row that went for big yardage, and when we've never seen that since Tiki Barber in 2006. So it's now we put the screens on tape, and it's just one more thing for teams to be account for.
Yeah, right. I'm laughing, man. Look at the last comment by Jay.
I say that. All right. Let's see here.
No, the second one.
What a score prediction?
No,
I say that about Craig.
I was talking about the offensive line. When you don't notice the offensive line, go back to that last one. Go back to the last one.
He mentioned
about
the
offensive line. No,
about Craig. Yeah. I had it right here. Hold on.
I was talking about the offensive line. You notice them? They're doing a good job.
Yeah, you're right. I say that about Craig too. When I don't see, oh man, you guys. Well, you'll see him on Monday, so there'll be a lot of penalty flags thrown by you guys. You guys are like all the officials. Just keep throwing penalty flags at Craig. He loves it.
Yeah, he does.
And do you ever notice when you guys get on him, he starts to whip that hair around? That hair starts flopping around.
Oh,
like
yeah,
Alf.
the hat comes off.
Yeah, remember Alf?
Whipped around.
It flips around like Alf. He's all over the place. You guys notice that next week when you bust his chops, watch him start flipping the hair. He's like the sitcom Alf.
And let's see. I think my last one is that the Giants secondary will be tested, of course, with those 2 fine receivers, and let's not forget the tight end. So it's important for them to try not to let too many yards after the catch, and hopefully with the front 7 doing a good job against the run and getting a good pass rush, that will help them out a little bit. So that's what I got for my 3 keys for each team that I think, and I think you hit on the head, Chris. I think the number 1 is definitely time of possession.
Yeah, especially against the Bengals, because you can't afford, there's such a big disparity with the scoring between the Bengals and the Giants. Giants are averaging 20, and the Bengals are like averaging 28, close to 30. So yeah, time possession's key. Can't let them, wear out that defense and score points. It's funny. Absolutely. These guys think we're doing a good job. Like less Craig, the better. The midweek show is better, in my opinion. Well, you know what, guys? Guess what? Newsflash: you guys will get sick of us shortly, so don't worry. You may think now it's going great. A couple more weeks. Once we're at week 9 or 10, you guys will have it with us. You'll be saying, "Craig, get these guys off."
This is the Giants are winning.
Yeah, Giants are winning. That's the only reason why you guys are tolerating us, because we had a win last week. Next week, it could be a different story, but we appreciate it nonetheless.
Yeah. So normally at this point in the show, we like to give predictions, and I'll tell you, every time we think they're going to lose, they win. They play lights out football. That Giant game last week, that last play when they blocked, that reminded me of the 1990 Giants, 1986 Giants.
Right.
Making a play like that. That play by Simmons was phenomenal. You realize that if his foot would have touched any part of that guy's back, the lineman's back, it wouldn't have counted.
Absolutely. If he touched the shoulder, yep.
Anything,
absolutely.
yeah, anything.
And if he did a running start.
Yep. And did you notice after the play, you saw Dable given, I guess, the special team coach like a high five or something. He must have told him, "Let's put this in. Let's do this." They must have had worked on that kind of play to have Simmons in the middle like that, And the lineman went
what's
low.
funny, and you know what's interesting, and you guys may know this too. You've heard this before. Sometimes when you have a scripted play that you want to run, a lot of times a player will go to the official and give them a heads up and say, "Hey, listen," like an eligible lineman, right? A lineman checks in eligible, tell the official, "I'm eligible," and guess, I'm going out. My number's called. I'm going out for the pass. So I don't know if this would have been one of those instances where when Isaiah comes into the game, he kind of gives I'm just guessing here. Does he give the official a heads up to say, "Hey, listen, this is what I'm doing. I'm jumping the gap. I'm not doing a running start. My hands are going to be off the pad. So just pay attention. What I'm going to do." Because it's
That's a
right.
good point.
That would be a smart move. That way, these guys aren't trigger happy throwing a flag because they didn't know it was coming. When you're kind of letting the official know ahead of time, and now he's watching to make sure you're doing everything that you said you were going to do to make it legal. So I'm wondering, I would love if Mike Gabriel,
Dable may have said that. Dable could have said to the guys.
yeah, or the special teams coach could have told
Right.
Simmons, to let the official know, what you're going to do. I don't know, but it's almost, man, that was such a risky thing because these flags are always being thrown, right? I mean, he had to do three things: not run and jump.
Not right.
He had to do the gap, couldn't jump over anybody, and he could not put his hands on the shoulders of the defenders,
Right.
the guard in the center.
And that's such a great athletic play. But not only did he do all those things, he was able to jump up quick enough to get his hand up to block the punt, the kick.
Right. And it was his
That's
only
very
snap.
athletic.
Yeah. And I give Isaiah Simmons credit. That was his only snap of the game. He did not play any snaps on defense. And he was
I don't
obviously,
like that, but that's-
yeah, it's still, he's not getting much action, but he was obviously made a great play. He was upbeat in the locker room, didn't talk about much that he didn't play much. He could have complained, say something like, "Oh, this is why I should be in here. I make plays like this, but they don't want to put me in. That's up to the coaches, but they don't see it," or something, off color. But he didn't mention that, which was great. So he just stuck to, "Hey, that was the plan. I knew I was going to block it." End the story, move on. So, maybe he'll get some more playing time.
Yeah, my man got the touchdown. I'm a big fan of that kid, Ford, Bryson Ford.
Wheaton on the return. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
It's funny. One of my friends said, he could have just laid down like Singletary before the 1 yard line and just run out the clock. But you know what? He hasn't had a touchdown yet. You knew he wanted to get that one. He didn't want to give up that. I don't blame him. We go up by 9 points. No reason why the Giants shouldn't win.
Do that. Who wouldn't do that? Come on.
And hey, smart move by Dable. He didn't kick the extra point, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Didn't want to risk the 2-point conversion on the other side, and now you turn it into a one-score possession. So smart move to not even kick the extra point, because that's typical Giants, right? They get one back, and now could you imagine if a blocked extra point goes the other way
and they run the other way?
Oh man,
that'd be some game, right?
Oh,
even though they still would have won, right? Because it would have been 29-28 if they got the conversion, right?
Well, the final score was 29-20, right?
Yeah, so it would have been 29-28.
Well, no, they would have got the ball back on the 2 points. So it would have been 29-22, Giants kicking the ball off to the Bengals.
Oh, you're saying, that's right. You can't, wait a minute. If they block an extra point, they block an extra point and go all the way, they can take that ball to it's a live ball, right?
It's the old college rule that the NFL brought in, maybe 8 years ago, 10 years ago. But yeah, they'll get the 2 points and then they get the kickoff, and now you're talking a touchdown and it's over with the extra point.
No, you're right. You're right. Can you imagine if that would have happened? They lost.
Or you would have been tie game. Actually, it was 29-20. But yeah, that's all we need, because that's typical Giants, right?
Yeah.
That was like amazing. Ron Dixon in the Super Bowl against the Ravens. The Ron Dixon second half runs it back, and then next thing, same thing happens to them. So
that's right.
But
that's the only time that's happened in Super Bowl, right? Back-to-back kickoffs. Teams have scored.
Yeah, exactly. I know you guys are still in here. Yeah, you're right, Jay. One snap. I how are we unable to find a role for Simmons? Yeah, I don't get it, Colt, especially, with his
We talked
athleticism.
about this, Cole. I don't get it either.
Maybe with the amount of receivers that the Bengals play this weekend with going 5 and 4, maybe we see him more in the zone packages where he's that nickel back in his zone. But yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Here's one from Jay again. I haven't
Especially
seen.
when Bowen, we saw him on.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just reading that. Yeah, it is fun to see rookies contributing, huh? They're doing a good job. They really are.
And listen,
And
we
it was
love
nice,
Tom.
Chris.
Yep.
Chris, it was nice that we talked about last week. Get the tight ends involved, and they did.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you
Johnson had
watch
4
the Bengal
receptions,
Raven
right?
game, yeah, the Ravens abused the Bengals with their tight ends. So maybe that's part of the game plan too, because now you got the screen passes. Now you put that on tape. Now they're going to be worried about the tight ends, I hope, because the Bengals know they got to clean that up because they got abused. So maybe the Giants are looking at that. And then obviously with Neighbors coming back. So I think now with the running game with Tracy, now the Giants don't become so one-dimensional, right? They got they got a few different what do you say? Toys in the toy box, pieces, tools in the toolbox to work with here. So they put a lot of good stuff on the tape. Let the Bengals worry about it, and hopefully the Giants, they continue it. Jay, last thing, Jay, and then we'll head out. But how about this, Mike? I haven't seen this many rookies play well in a long ass time. It's fun to see the needle pointing up. Jay, we love Tom Coughlin, one of the best Giant coaches ever with Parcells. One thing Coughlin never did, he never played a lot of rookies, if you remember, unless he had to. Obviously, when Shockey got hurt and he had Boss and something, but wasn't a big player of rookies, if you look back, unless he needed to. So one thing, I do like about Dable, man, if you prove it in practice and you're doing well, he's going to play him. And if you don't work out like a Trey Hawkins, then you sit the bench. You go back on the side. You cut out second, Mike.
What happened?
Anything? No, you cut out. You kind of froze for a second. All right, guys.
Did?
Well, yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I think we're good. I'm not going to make a prediction this time because
no,
the Giants bad luck.
No, you got to. You got to.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Come on, let's do it. All the other shows.
I'll let you go first, and guys,
all right.
Guys can jump in with your predictions, and I'll give mine.
Yep. We both thought the Giants were going to lose last week, and they won. Although I think, as much as I'm a little superstitious, just a little stitious, not superstitious, but like Eli used to say, I do think the Giants are going to win this game. And I think the time possession, like we keep saying, is going to play a factor. I'm going to say Giants, and they're going to get close to 30. I'm going to say Giants 31, Bengals 27.
Okay. So kind of a shootout you look at. Kind of a shootout.
Okay.
Well, anybody else got any? Let me see.
Let me know
if the Giants can win the battle of time possession, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I can't put the same score you did because that's not right. That's kind of cheesy.
Well, you can come close. It's only do it.
I'm going to say 30-28.
Yeah. Typical Giants, right? Maybe it's tied up 28, and there's Joseph coming in for a 52-yarder to win it.
I see Eagle. I see Bengals getting touchdowns. I see them get touchdowns, not field goals. All right. I'll say the Giants are going to win this. It's going to be 30-28.
I like it.
I'll be a little different than yours.
No, I think we're right on. Just like what everybody's saying here, this game's going to be wild. Jay says, I think so too. I think it's opened up the possibilities with Tracy, with the running game and the offensive line playing well, the crosser routes that are opening up. Yeah, I think so too. I think Daniel Jones, he had a little bit of a coming out party on Sunday against the Seahawks, but I think this is kind of going to be his little coming out party at home, and is going to throw a couple touchdowns. I say 2 or 3 touchdowns he's going to throw, really, especially against.
And he really needs a really good home game win and performance because, right, his best performances so far has been on the road, right? He played really well last week, and then even against Washington, he did a really good job. So
yeah, he's progressed well. Every week gets better and better. All right, Mike. Well, I guess that's a wrap. Thanks everybody for stopping in with us. We always appreciate it. Well, Monday, Craig will be back for you guys to bust his chops with the rest of the crew. I'm not sure if Mike or I'll be on, but you'll get Alex and Sean, and then don't forget the Rush Hour preview show every Wednesday at 7:00 with Truth and myself or whoever else hosts. But appreciate your support. Have a great rest of the week. Enjoy the game Sunday. Go Giants, and we'll catch you Monday. Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.